Welcome, friends, to the Soul Talk podcast, a show where we explore and uncover the path to the heart, amplifying your conscience. Join me as we meet incredible souls who are in this journey and learn from their experience and different methods that will make you vibrate your heart. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. This is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love, and thank you for being back in Soul Talk. Today we have as an invite some people that I just met. They are so wonderful. They have a proposal for changing the world that I experienced personally. That is really something very different that I have ever experienced in my path of evolution. And I'm not saying that I'm already ascended, because I'm not, but that's where the purpose of everybody wants to experience, to have that peaceful life and abundance where we're living in a very different world. And this is a very good proposal from Amy and Carol. And let's chat with them. Let's talk with them about this amazing proposal that they invented, that they created. Amy and Carol, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your accepting the invitation for Soul Talk.
Well, thank you for inviting us. We really appreciate being here. Thank you. Yes.
And let's explain a little bit what it is, MindFlavors, because it is a really game changer. I felt it after doing the session with you guys. Let's talk about what is MindFlavors.
Well, MindFlavors is a super powerful consciousness expanding technology that I invented a few years back here. And it came about through a lot of evolution of my consciousness and things that I have been experiencing throughout my lifetime, and some can say many lifetimes. It's a 4.5-minute video that you watch, and it immediately eliminates mind chatter, negative mind chatter, that self-talk that's going on for most, and also gets rid of chronic doubt, worry, and fear, all in 4.5 minutes.
I was lucky to experience one session, and oh my gosh, it was amazing. The noises that we have it inside of us, that all those talk that we're always questioning ourselves and our ego intervening in our thoughts and so forth, they were gone. It was gone, and it lasted a while back. And the things that I was experienced before, that I was missing, like by vibrating my body, is still going on to this day. And that was a few days ago, or a week ago, something like that. It was a game changer.
Yeah.
And tell me, guys, where was the idea to be born this technology that you started, Carl?
It started when the real momentum of this technology started when I was in New York with Amy. We've been together for many years, and we were living in our loft in New York City, and I had been using a powerful process for reprogramming my subconscious mind for a few decades, actually, with great success. And I really loved that process and shared that with many individuals who also saw many great results from that. And I had been using this process. However, I reached a kind of a point where there was a lot going on, and I was able to achieve things happening in my life, and then it seemed like I kind of reached a plateau where it wasn't up leveling fast enough for me. Having had a taste of what it's like to have accelerated manifestation, I was looking to have that on a consistent basis in ways that were kind of more universal across the board in my life. And so I was contemplating, how can I do this? What can I do to how can I increase my manifestation abilities? And then it seemed like it was the obvious answer, and it was to program my subconscious mind that I would automatically increase my manifestation abilities, and I put in the extra word exponentially. And the way that it usually works when we're programming our subconscious mind or living from the inside out is that we put the program in the form of what we call power declarations. We write something specific before we go to sleep at night, and we put that into our subconscious. And then the following day, we just look for the signs and notice things that come into our awareness, because this is how our interaction with the field happens, where we put the program in, we notice to see what's coming up to us, and then we take inspired action. So it's up to us to be noticing what's shifting when we do the programming from the inside out. And so from doing that process, I started attracting different ideas and concepts to me that inspired me to create the MindFlavors technology.
This kind of remind me a little bit of time jumping. Because we search for that answer. You do the meditations and so forth, or you want to do it more consciously, because we're time jumping all the time. But when you want to do it more consciously, through several techniques and so forth, you go to sleep, and the next day you're looking for that answer. Like, okay, things have to be different, and I have to find it outside of the doors. Might not be there, the windows might not be in a different place, or different things for we get validated that we actually time jump to a different reality. So it is kind of like that, what you were saying, right?
Yes, in some ways, absolutely. Absolutely. I've often wondered about some experiences that I've had where it seemed like all of a sudden things were different. So absolutely. Now, when we're living from the inside out, what might be a little bit different and unique to this is that we're doing this very purposefully. So we're doing it with as much consciousness as we can, so that we're creating from the perspective of being aware of the cause and effect. And we're getting to the point where we're comprehending the mechanics of that on new levels.
Yes. That is part of our evolution as human beings, in our expanding our conscious, where we can observe that every act has consequences, that every choice that we do is going to affect us in a different way. Amy, I know you were a hypnotherapist. That was part of your background, or many of your backgrounds. And but can you please explain to our viewers how the subconscious actually affect us in our reality that we're living in, all of us?
Well, we create our reality based on the programming that's in our subconscious. And we create our reality by the way we think and feel and what we believe. And most of that is unconscious. So if we would like to change our reality, it's up to us to go in there and reprogram those belief structures that are there.
Yes, because we tend to, like I mentioned, I tell a lot of my clients, it is the one that is really running the show in your life is your subconscious. And that's where it is all the limiting beliefs that we have. We can say, no, I believe in myself, and so forth. And you can repeat it as a mantra. I believe in myself. I believe in myself. For days, you can get even the little balls, the Malaga balls, and you can do it every half an hour if you want. But that is not going to change it. If there's a belief inside of you that you're not good enough, it's going to show up, because that's what is running the show, what it is in your subconscious. Correct?
Yes, yes. Well, I started studying different healing modalities many years ago. Let's see, we're going back 25 years ago when I started. Carl and I met 33 years ago, and it was always and when we met, he started teaching me that writing process. I was just learning when I met him 33 years ago that we actually create our own reality this way through how we think, feel, and what we believe. And at first I got really excited about that idea. And then I got really nervous because the thoughts that I had and the feelings that I had and the beliefs that I had were so not what I would choose, you see. And I was like, how do I change these things? And it was the most frustrating thing. I got great results with the writing process, like Carl was talking about also. However, I really used to feel like there was something really not right with me because I was believing certain things that I wish I didn't believe. And some of the things that I wished I could believe, I just couldn't believe. And that was my question always. It's like, how can I change my beliefs? How can I believe something that I would really like to believe that's in alignment with who I am so I can attract these things? So this has been our journey. I studied all the different healing modalities. What I did learn was how to clear cellular memory in the body. And that was a big relief because I began feeling lighter in my body. What I thought what the hypnosis was going to do, it just didn't really do for me. And I see now because there's just so many, It's like, I was like, and the healing modalities that I was learning, like dealing with one belief at a time, I'm like, I'm going to be here forever. And what's beautiful about reality, it's what's beautiful about this life that we're living, what's beautiful about who we are inside is that if we ask a question and we keep asking the question over and over and over again, which we were not doing, how can we do this quicker, easier, and faster? We will begin to get answers. And that's what, and it came through Carl, through this MindFlavors process, because I will tell you that when he created this technology almost 8 years ago, about 8 years ago right now, I was ready to check out of here because it all became too painful. And I was at the end of my rope. I've like tried everything and nothing was fully working the way that I would have, that I liked. And I got freedom from the MindFlavors.
That it is so true. I thought I'm a hypnotherapist too, that I thought, okay, well, you just have to program yourself in hypnosis, that
Yeah.
how you can believe more in yourself to live that experience or not. And obviously when you're starting, you're making a new practice and you're swapping with other classmates.
Mhm.
And I remember one of them, I am a smoker, and I tell them, okay, let's practice removing my cigarette from me, the need of having having a cigarette. And we did it and so forth, and the need was there. So I was like, okay, pues continue smoking. And then someone asked me like, okay, but you just haven't enough to stop smoking. And like, yes, and what didn't work? And then I just went deep inside it, like it didn't work because I didn't want to stop. I was just doing it because the social norms that tell you this is wrong or this is right. But that's why I did it. But in reality, I didn't want to stop smoking. I just enjoyed so much. So I don't want to stop. So, and that applies for everything when even in hypnosis, even if we're talking to the subconscious, if there is a story behind in our subconscious that it might be a blind spot,
Yeah.
it's not gonna work the hypnosis. It doesn't matter it is Dolores Cannon. It's not gonna work, right?
Yeah.
Well, the way I look at that particular concept is that the subconscious is so full of tangled up belief structures. So someone's wealth beliefs might be mixed in with their values about how they believe about themselves or their self-esteem or maybe connected to traumatic events that have happened in their lives. So there may be even fears from moving forward in certain things because of beliefs that have gotten commingled with that subject. And these were actually some of the reasons why I was searching for a better way when I was getting results with the writing process. However, I felt like there were still other things pulling me in different directions and not giving me that full freedom that I was seeking. And that's actually what we've achieved with the MindFlavors technology.
It just somehow is able to clear so much at once. Yeah, that you don't even have to think about what those are. You don't have to go back and ask why these things happened and how we got the beliefs. You just watch this 4.5-minute video every day when you wake up and before you go to sleep. You do a breathing process, so you're also taking care of the body. And we do still use that writing process before we go to sleep at night, because that allows us to get really specific on what we would like to create in our reality. And the more that we continue to clear out those patterns in the mind, and the more that we clear out those energies in the body, so then we don't get triggered anymore, right? We can be light, we can be in alignment with who we are, then that writing process becomes even more powerful.
That is true. And something that I came to understand after I went to I did your system, well, your videos, your program. Well, one time, the first time, it was that there are flavors. So I would like to we talk about why the flavors, because it goes the name that actually you chose for your business, Mind Flavors, in
Yes.
flavors. So let's talk about the flavors, because everybody's different, and you're right. It should be flavors.
Yes, well, you can talk about the flavors. I just like to say first, the beautiful thing about MindFlavors, that there's something that the technology does across the board, no matter what flavor you happen to be tuned into. And this is really the first 30 days. So our programs are 3 to 4 months. We start with one that's 4 months long. And because it's that first 30 days where we're doing the most clearing out. And so it doesn't matter what MindFlavors that we would start with, it's still going to be cleaning out house. Right? It's going to be, and you only have to do that one time. I like to use the analogy of like a basement that you haven't looked at in maybe a dozen years or more, and it's filled with junk, right? Basically, and you got to clean it out. And maybe initially it's going to take extra effort to clear it out, but once it's cleared out, you don't have to keep clearing it out. That's the cool thing about the MindFlavors, that no matter which one you start with, it is going to get rid of the mind chatter. It is going to clear out the doubt, worry, and the fear. It is going to create new neural pathways in your brain. But you want to talk about the flavors.
And also bring tremendous clarity and joy and elation from the freedom, just the sensation of the freedom from all of those old constructs that produce limiting feelings of being kind of stuck. Now, someone might not even be aware that they're stuck. They might just be thinking that they'd like to experience something more and then wonder why it's not happening. And that's a form of being stuck, because consciousness is something that's changing all the time. Reality is changing all the time. Most are in a loop position where they're creating the same reality over and over and over, the same, because their consciousness is staying the same and it's producing the same external effects and creating the reality they're experiencing. And then it appears to be like it's solid and fixed, when it's actually something that can change instantly.
And that's where it comes a lot of the generalizations that we tend to do. I see it with some of my clients, like, oh man, are this way. So I don't trust men because of this, or I can't, they're gonna be cheaters, they're gonna be this. And they told you these stories that they're playing in their heads constantly. And they change to a new relationship and they attract the same thing. It's like, but it's a different person. So they're looking for, in a way, they're looking in there for the evidence of what their stories they're telling to themselves over and over and over eternally until they die and they have that conclusion that they were right. But instead of removing it, the beliefs that they have and why they have attracted, because they don't have the possibility that not all men are the same. They're all different, and women too, and but they're playing that story for the rest of their life until, because they never thought it was possible. That was not taught in schools or in society norms or churches, whatever you want to call it. Right?
Yes, and most of that most of that conditioning and programming that we have that creates the reality experience that we're having, and that's what reality is. It's an experience. Most of that was developed when we were before the age of reason. And generally that's around eight years in this world of life. And so that can start even in the womb. Some say we bring even some of that with us. We'll just say, even if it just starts at the womb, we become conscious beings, and we're sensing, maybe not with ears, more spiritual connections that we have as we're souls coming into this experience. And we sense or feel emotionally what our mothers are feeling, and we start to take on those vibrations. That's the first area, I would say, it starts to influence our subconscious patterns. So we're picking up patterns, and when we come into this world for survival, we bond with our caregivers, our mothers and fathers, so that we can be accepted and taken care of and live. And so we take on their patterns, and patterns that bring us into that acceptance position, even though they may be patterns that are not as high frequency as what we already have. So then the next challenge about that situation is, well, when we become able to take care of ourselves, and we would like to have more in life than what we were experiencing based on those patterns, how do we get free from those patterns that have gotten locked into our subconscious? Because at the age of reason, our conscious mind started developing, and at that point, basically everything that's in the subconscious is pretty much staying the same from there, and that creates the filter through which everything gets channeled and shapes the reality that we experience, because reality is an individual experience. Every single one of us is experiencing a different reality. There are common beliefs that we buy into that we can generally are saying is reality that we've all created. And at the same time, each one of us is experiencing a completely unique reality.
Well, he explained that one to many of my students is at the point of view as an artist, that we can have an apple in the middle to draw. And where in the position I am and observing to that apple is going to be that angle very different to the other person that it is contrary of me. They're going to have a very different angle observing that apple. The lights and the shadows, the form is going to change depending where you're sitting down observing the same object. And for everybody, it's going to be different. And it's the same object, but we have different points of view of the same object. Our reality is very different. Even the word love, it is very confusing for every single person, not only in speaking English. If we go to different countries, that actually change more. Like in Spanish, I know Spanish, and in Spanish, actually, we have grades of love. Te quiero and te amo are very, very different in the emotion part of love. So that is going to change depending on the culture, depending on the programming that you have, depending on the trauma that you have. The same word of just love is going to vary for each one of us. Something that it was coming right now to me a lot when you were mentioning that, it is, I have gone to different groups, and one of the group that I went locally, they do only Buddhist meditation. That is the non-thought. And that is when you tell someone, okay, remove any thoughts from your mind, that's when all the thoughts come in. It's impossible to say something to that to someone because it is torture. You cannot do that. But with your technology, it is possible. Something that I discovered that it is possible. It's effortlessly, right?
Yes. And I like the way that you sum that up. And and to kind of get back with what you asked me before, and that was we'll finish up on why the flavors. It's because while I was creating the raw technology, it became clear to me that it was putting me in the state that you're talking about, where I was in perfect meditation. And I also quickly learned that what we focus on while we're doing that technology expands quickly in our lives. And so this is where it became clear to me that there was that it's important that we're utilizing this with focus. And so that's how the technology evolved, where I infuse words and other things in there to keep the mind focusing in a direction, so that that's what's expanding. So that's where it came about with flavors, because I was talking with Amy and we were talking about how we saw how others, we shared it with some friends, and they started getting immediate results, and we were getting surprised at how fast everything was moving. And when I recognized that this would be best utilized with focus, I was kind of asking the question, well, what kind of flavor? My mind was like, what kind of flavor of the focus? And so I said to Amy, well, what's the flavor of your mind today? And then it just popped in my head, MindFlavors. And that's where the name came from. So there's purpose in the name. We like to do everything with fun also, because that is an easy way to get into the subconscious and get the subconscious to work with you and with your conscious mind to bring about the things that you love, is to do it with fun and lightness as well. So it's infused right into the name.
This technology, can you explain it for who it is made? Is for anybody in the planet, or for who it is?
That's a great question. Initially, we thought it would be for everybody. We feel like it could be for everybody, because it would be so nice if everyone could create new thoughts, feelings, and beliefs for themselves. However, it's so accelerated and it goes so fast. So we would say it's not for a beginner on this journey. We feel it's for someone who has been on the journey a while and they've done quite a bit of inner work, and they're just ready to, what would you say, Carl? Just go faster.
Yes.
They're ready to go faster, and they're ready to have those things cleared out that are still there. And so it really makes a difference, the flavor that does. Like I did say that there's something that happens for whatever flavor that you start with, whatever one that you're using. However, we have noticed that when there's a specific focus, it really makes a difference. So we said, okay, well, we're dealing with rapid transformation here. So what are some good flavors to begin with? So for the first 30 days of our program, we have a MindFlavors for making change easy, because we're making change, or we're changing, and let's make it easy. And we have another one for instant inspired action, because that's great. So we're taking that inspired action moving forward.
What are the flavors? Can you name them?
Can we name all of them?
Oh.
So with this new program that we have, those are two of them: making change easy, instant inspired action. We also begin with one called brilliant self-awakening, because we are brilliant beings. Let's awaken to the brilliant beings that we are. What else is in there, Carl?
Everything works for me.
Oh, that's a good one. I had the program really not good, that things didn't work for me. And you're familiar, Monica, right? It's like, if we have the belief, it's going to show up that way. It's the laws of the universe are what they are.
We go to any situation with a little bit of pessimism, like, okay, I'm gonna try it, let's see it works. Well, if we go with that mentality to any situation, it's like, it's not gonna work. Why? Because we went with the pessimism already. That's like, okay, let me see if try this, if it's gonna work.
Yeah.
So, but this one, programming with this one, it is,
yes.
I bet it's wonderful, this one.
Oh, it's such like a relief to finally have the programming and belief that, yes, things work for you. Everything works for me.
In the years that we've been doing this and working with groups of individuals, guiding them through this consciousness awakening and expanding process, one of the things that became clear to us is the importance and significance of building a solid foundation first when really delving into this expansion so rapidly, this accelerated expansion, because things happen so fast that it goes beyond what we believe is even possible. And sometimes we can see transformation right there in front of us. And if we're not prepared to recognize what it is, we can completely move right past it. We see it all the time. It's part of the main reason why we do so much hands-on coaching with our members. And really, it's more like guidance, not really coaching. It's just more guidance of sharing what we have seen along this path, because we're just a few steps ahead going through this journey because we created it. So we're the first ones to experience this level of expansion so quickly. And through the process, we've found ways to make this expansion, this fast expansion, comfortable and fun and filled with joy, because it's clear that we can see how fast things are changing, and things that maybe our entire lives have been wishing could be different. All of a sudden, they're shifting just like that. And that's something that the conscious mind can have a bit of a time accepting so easily. And so when we have conversations with our members, we talk about what they're experiencing, and they'll be telling us about it, and suddenly they'll tell us about this situation or something that happened. And then as they're talking about it, their face starts smiling more and more as they start to recognize, oh, yes, it's working. These things are happening because it's showing up in ways that are not necessarily logical to the conscious mind, because the conscious mind believes in order to succeed, you have to work hard, you have to do these things, you have to do all these things that we've been programmed to do, when the truth is what we become, who we are being, even at the subconscious level, that's the main part, is what we attract to us.
And the truth is that if we would like to change our reality, we change our consciousness, and that's living from the inside out. That's using tools that are going to completely change the way we think, how we feel, and what we believe. And then you get to have a new reality. And it happens quickly.
So the conscious mind, for example, might say, well, how could watching a 4.5-minute video possibly change my reality? That's an example of the conscious mind being stuck in that position. Now, even though I say stuck, there is a purpose for that function, and that is to keep our reality stable enough for us to stand on, so that so it's not just like sand all the time, changing and moving and shifting, or being like water all the time. We have some solidity from holding beliefs in place. Every single belief that can be held in place can also be undone, can also be up-leveled, upgraded, expanded to anything more that we would like it to be.
Because once you have created the beliefs that you love, the ones that you like and choose, then you would like those to stay in place, right? So it's like good that it's designed that way.
I always like to say, or something better.
It's just not so fun when they're not the ones that we prefer. But there is a way to do it. And MindFlavors makes it go really fast.
Yes.
It's like even dreaming. When you dream, okay, dream big, whatever you want. And when we even ask a petition to the universe, like, I want a house, little house, that tiny, that be so expensive, maybe 1 2 bedrooms, and this and that. But in reality, we're 5 people. How you're gonna fit in 1 or 2 bedrooms? Our need is a bigger home that it can fit 5 people. Because we don't, there is a part of us that we don't feel we deserve the big house with 5 bedrooms at least, because you have 5 people living there, or things like that. We tend to not dream big, or at least everything that we deserve or need, because there's programs running in our subconscious that it is reminding us, hey, you don't deserve it. Hey, you're not worthy, and things like that, because that's what we've been taught in part of the system, and not even believing ourselves or our needs.
And those beliefs can seem ridiculous from our conscious perspective today as an adult. As an adult, we might think, well, of course I deserve to have things. Or I've trained myself to believe, to have the confidence that I deserve it. However, there might be a feeling underneath the surface, because the what's really going on is as much as 95%, maybe even more than that, we're attracting to us is coming from the belief structure that's in our subconscious. So we might say, oh, I'd love to have this experience or live this reality. And yet that's only 5% or maybe less percent of us that is conscious of that. And the rest is underneath, having a pattern and running a pattern. It doesn't have consciousness. It's not functioning at the conscious level. It's running on the automatic level. And its job is to keep things the same. So that's why we can feel like, oh, I'd love to get out there. And sometimes someone would love to get out and speak on stage. And yet something just kind of always says, oh, well, maybe I'll do it tomorrow, or they put it off, or somehow things align that they don't do it because they might have a pattern underneath that's running that says, if you do this, it's not going to feel good, or if you do this, something else, or you can't do this, or what makes you think that you deserve to have that experience, and even though those things are ridiculous to the conscious mind today, somehow those got became impressions when the subconscious mind was developing, maybe before we even spoke words.
Well, we all know that the ego, in a way, do not like changes. The ego doesn't like to you believe in yourself, because then lose control over you. And the majority of the human beings, we have this fight with the ego. I have many clients that come with me, can you disappear my ego, kill it or something? And like, without accepting and using it as a tool to advance and grow. And with your technology, it something in my experience that I had, it overpassed the ego. So the ego is not involved in there. So the ego is not telling you, hey, you don't deserve it. Do you remember when you heard from your parents when you were 3 years old that were worthy because you broke that base or whatever? And because that's what the ego do, is reminding you things that why you don't deserve it, why you are not worthy, why it is too fearful, or it is in all the time instigating ideas in there when you're trying to achieve something. But with your technology, it really, the ego chatter, it is gone.
Yeah, so you know why? The reason that is happening, well, there's multiple reasons, but another thing that we haven't talked about yet that the MindFlavors does that's so beautiful is it brings us back to who we are. Many who experience it for the first time will say they feel like they're home. So the technology and all of our tools actually are bringing us out of our head and in our body and connected to who we truly are on the inside. So then we're not hearing all this. Instead, we're tuned in to hearing our intuition and our inner guidance. And that's always guiding us in the best way. And then life gets really good, because when you're tuned into who you truly are, and you can feel your divinity, and you can feel your power, and you can hear that voice that's guiding you, then we have trust, we have confidence, we can do anything.
And something that I can observe in your technology after experience it, it is that you can change easier and faster than NLP, even hypnosis, your identity. And changing your identity just change your life experience. You're not bound for all those limitations and stories that you're telling to yourself.
Well, it's the MindFlavors is clearing out everything that is not who we are. We have all been programmed against ourselves. And so it's just clearing all that out so we can come back to who we truly are and our divine identity.
And that's why we see this over and over again every single time. The first time when someone watches the MindFlavors, they feel like huge weight has been lifted off their shoulders. And it's one of the most common things we hear is that they say that they're not sure why, but they just keep smiling and they can't stop smiling because they're feeling so good, because all those distorted patterns and patterns of thought create an experience in this physical world. Patterns of thought create, it's like it's the energy that affects everything around us, and we can feel it on the inside as well. And when it's not true to who we are, the true divine beings that we are, then it doesn't feel good. And so if we're having a feeling or about not worthy or on any level, or not being able to expand more, not feeling like we can expand more, if we're having those kinds of thoughts, those are limiting thoughts that are not who we truly are. And when the MindFlavors, you introduce the MindFlavors and those things get cleared out, it's like cleaning out cobwebs. Those cobwebs were holding things in position, and not just holding things in position, but attracting things that match that same stuck position. And that's why someone might be feeling like, well, nothing ever changes. With MindFlavors, those things get cleared out right away, and it goes beyond what their conscious mind believes is possible. And so they're like, well, how do I explain what's happening? And this is why we like to share with individuals before they experience it that this is something like you've never experienced before. So you might have take some time to allow yourself for it to integrate before you even attempt to start speaking, because you're going to find that there aren't words for the things that you're experiencing sometimes.
How I see it now, it is like peeling an onion that does our inner work. And that's what many teachers we teach. Like it's like peeling an onion. You remove the coat from one coat and you find another coat underneath, and so on and so on. But with MindFlavors, you go directly to the heart. There's no onions to peel, right?
Yes.
So
now there is another part of our process that is significant that we learned along the way. We learned this early on, and that is the part that Amy is the expert on, and that is keeping the body up with the mind. Because when someone watches MindFlavors, they immediately have an enormous expansion of their consciousness in their mind. And the body is what holds the memory in the cells, which has old patterns connected with the cravings of the chemicals that the body produces when we have certain emotions. So if the body is saying, hey, wait a minute, now you're feeling all great without me, what about my chemicals that I've become addicted to? And it tries to create some kind of experience that brings them back into that state where they'll get those same feelings, those lower frequency feelings. Even though they're not necessarily pleasant to feel, the body, the cells become addicted to that. And so that's why they tend to loop over and over again. So with what Amy's process does, it neutralizes and releases those patterns of stuck memory in the cells and allowing the body to then catch up with the mind.
Yeah.
How do you do that, Amy? What techniques you use?
So this is an 8-minute process. All of our processes are very short. And so that was one of our things that we said, right, Carl?
Yes.
They have to be short because so we can do them. It's only 8 minutes and it's called Invigorate. There are other processes that we do, but this is the one that we do every day because it's a daily energetic cleanse. So just like we're taking a shower to cleanse our physical bodies, it's also very important that we're clearing out our energetic body and also this cellular memory. Here's what the MindFlavors is doing that's so beautiful. And we really get to a place where we really appreciate this so much. So the MindFlavors, we've already talked about what it's doing. It's opening the mind, it's expanding, it's getting us in a new place, but it's also bringing up, so imagine when we raise our energy frequency, well, it's also like this, Monica, when we ask for a question, when we ask, the answer is given, when we ask for something, it's given to us. That's this beautiful reality that we're living in. But we're always shown what's in the way, okay? So let's say the MindFlavors, we're focusing on a MindFlavors that's brilliant self-awakening. And we're watching the MindFlavors. So anything that doesn't match that that's in the body, those energies in the body, is going to rise up to the surface over time. So we have to clear those out. The Invigorate is a process of bringing in light, bringing us into our body, and through sound and color and breath work, we're going through the different energy centers and we're clearing out those energies that match. Did I say that proper?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
beautifully. And there's a specific part of the breathing technique that really amplifies the effectiveness of this process.
So the result is, this is what our members notice in the beginning, what you'll notice in the beginning, is that the things that used to trigger us start not triggering us. And we'll notice that, oh, something that happened that used to trigger me, it's not triggering me, I'm actually feeling neutral. And then you keep going with it and it's just not going to show up in your life anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. And here's the other thing that's happening. With the Invigorate, whenever we do this breath work, we're releasing resistance. That's what we're talking about here. We're clearing that. I just call that resistance. And whenever we release resistance, we are also raising our energy frequency. And when we raise our energy frequency, you were talking about kind of shifting timelines earlier, or the time thing, right? Well, that's kind of what that's doing, because then all of a sudden we're in a new place where we can actually feel more than we could a moment ago. We can see more, we can experience more. We actually are in a new reality space. And we've also changed our point of attraction because we've changed our frequency. This is what we feel is like the most important thing. I wish that I could teach everyone on earth right now how to do this very simple breathing process. Because if we would all, every time we got triggered, do the breath work, it has to be done in a certain way to clear out from the cellular memory. It's just not any type of breathing. But this kind does clear the cellular memory. So we get lighter and lighter. And then all of those heavy DARK programming that we've all have had in our bodies gets cleared out, gets cleared out, gets cleared out. And then we remain light and free. And then we are able to be really in tune with who we are. And we can live in these higher frequencies of love and light, where this is the heaven on earth that we are creating.
Yes, yes.
It is, well, basically it is somatic work where you're doing it to anchor that into your body.
What kind of work?
Somatic.
Somatic. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. So like that, so it can really get released from our cellular body and cellular memory.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Because
yes.
it is.
And when you to kind of come back to what you said earlier about changing timelines, when you change your point of attraction, that's kind of like changing your timeline, because let's say you've got to start with the point of attraction right here, and only things that are of this level of quality that match whatever the focus is can show up at this level. And all of a sudden you elevate your level by changing your frequency. Now things that are higher frequency can show up, but these lower ones are not able to come into your field anymore.
That is true. So guys, how do you work with groups?
How do we work with?
You're having a group very soon, right?
Yes. Well, we have a new group starting next month. And it's a 4-month program. And anything else you'd like to add?
We do everything online. So we all get together online, and
so if someone wants to register in your group that you're having in June, then how do they can apply, or because or you do check their work? How do you do? How is the process so
Yeah.
they can apply for your program?
Yeah, it is important that we meet with an individual who might like to join our program first, and we do offer a private screening of the technology. It's very important that we make sure that anyone who's interested is ready for it, because it's really accelerated, goes really fast. So you can learn more about the program at MindFlavors. Is that what you'd like me to do, is give the link to give the...
Yeah, it's gonna be also in the description of the in this in this video and in the...
Okay, perfect. So you'll have the link there. So let me just say, this program is we're most excited, I think, aren't we, Carl, about this program? We've created many programs in the last almost 6 years, and one of them was even a year-long program. And Carl just keeps increasing the technology. But after all these years of doing this, we really took a lot of time off these past several months to kind of go deeper within, to really listen. Well, who are we meant to serve right now? What is the program that is best for us to create right now? Who would really could use this now? And so this program, it's called Supercharge, and it's all about fully connecting to your divinity at will. And yeah, so we can access our genius, our creativity, so we can have tremendous success in who we are and what we came here for. We talked about some of the mind flavors also. Some other mind flavors that are in there are being super powerful, really being intuitive, an intuitive genius, tapping into our powers.
yes.
You guys do it online, so anybody in the world can...
Right, yeah, so it's on Zoom. We do Zoom group meetings every 7 days.
How big are your groups?
We keep them small right now to about 8, so there's time to interact with each one. Yeah.
So basically, if someone wants to participate, they just fill the application in mindflavors.com,
Well,
and so like that they can submit a request so they can be screened by you guys, right?
yes. So now we're doing it now in a new way where we meet with them. If they can say they're ready, if they can say, yes, I'm ready for this accelerated transformation. I'm ready to be really who I am right now. I'm ready to clear out everything that's not who I am. I'm actually ready to create a reality that I truly love. If that is you, then we would love to connect with you. And we start with just a 30-minute connection call to have a conversation with you, to see where you are, where you would like to go, and to share more about the program.
Our processes are 100% effective.
Mm-hmm.
The most important thing is that you're ready to actually live that life that you've been dreaming of.
Yeah.
That is true. That is true. No, we tell too many stories in our head. Oh yeah, I would like to do that and that. But many people are not ready to do that changes and their inner work.
Yeah, and that's okay.
But the good thing about Mind Flavors that it is effortlessly. You don't have to do the shadow work like many of us we teach. That yes, it is painful because we wanted to say where it started. That's the process that we go through. Or at least I go with my students, like where it started, so it can be released that emotion. But with you guys, they don't have to go that there. It's just faster and quicker, and you don't have to search for that answer where it started. Because it may start from this timeline, or it can be from a past life too. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
Yes.
And the other nice thing about our program is there's nothing to study or learn. It's just experiences that you're engaging with every day throughout the day, just a few minutes here, a few minutes there, that is shifting and changing your consciousness on the inside. So you can come back to who you are, so you can remember who you are, so you can love who you are, you can be who you are, and everything that's not is just gets cleared out through these processes of doing it every day.
And things that you might have thought would never stop in your life suddenly disappear, and things that you might have thought would never show up in your life suddenly start appearing. That's how quickly consciousness can shift our reality.
Hi everyone, this is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love. And if you have been feeling stuck where you are right now, or if you have felt that you cannot connect with others in the same language or the same emotions that you're feeling, if you're a coach, a healer, energy worker, in any of those branches, maybe this is for you. Because we have felt the disconnection for the rest of our family, friends, that we cannot connect to them. And we're so afraid to actually go deep dive when we're getting triggered by our own clients, because we're seeing our mirror image with them. My name is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love, and that's my spiritual name. And I take clients from feeling confused and feeling stuck to feeling free, to feeling that they feel empowered from themselves. I created a system, Path to the Heart, that goes in 3 levels. And the first level, it is healing the inner child, healing the parts of us that we've been so afraid, or it's very painful to do it. I have done it myself, not only with me, and I have done it with many of my clients, that I take them to this process. The second level, it is to go more into inner self, clearing the family lineage, to breaking the contracts and vows, learning deeper more about the laws of the universe. And the third level, it is learning how to channel, how to do waking up your and getting online your gifts, your unique gifts that the world so much needs right now. So if you wanted to know more about this, I am eager to show you and to teach you all what I know that I use every day in my life. So thank you for being here in this page. I really appreciate it. And this is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love. That's how we can heal ourselves, because many times our physical bodies at the same time get illness, because I am a true believer that we get sick through our own thoughts and emotions. And if we clear that out, it is possible that even get a heal in a way in our emotional states and our nervous system and so forth. And many of those sickness that we think we have are going to be gone faster and easier.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true. We've had a lot of that happen.
We've even had spontaneous healings occur from the first time watching MindFlavors.
Mm-hmm. We can't
make any claims about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just interesting to watch how much more obvious it is when we see this, the connection between our emotions and our physical well-being, our emotions and how it shows up in our bodies. And when we shift the thought patterns on the subconscious level that we're generating those beliefs that create the emotions, we release those, then suddenly the body says, oh, I feel light. I don't have to adhere to those old, not pleasant forms anymore. I can actually be healthy.
And the body is always talking to us, right? The body is always communicating with us and showing us what's going on the inside. And the body only tells us the truth. So if there's something going on, this is actually really good news, because if there's something going on in the body, we don't have to go into FEAR about it. If we're aware of what's happening and how we can change it. And we can change it by tuning in to, well, how is this making me feel? What pattern is coming up? And clearing that. Louise Hay has a great book that we use with our members, the Heal Your Body. She calls them affirmations, but we take those affirmations and we turn them into power declarations. So if any of our members are experiencing something in their body, we have them reference her, because she's she was pretty brilliant at that, way before her time. But we don't just do affirmations. We take those and we use them as power declarations and use the writing process before we go to sleep. So then they can go right into the subconscious, and it's powerful. It's really powerful. It works.
And the difference, just to clarify a distinction here, the difference, what we call power declarations, why we call them power declarations and not affirmations, is because when we are working on shifting our reality and changing from the inside out and changing our subconscious mind, we're looking for every way that we can get past the gatekeepers of the mind that are keeping things in the stuck position in a loving way and in a positive way. And so if we call them affirmations, if we're affirming something, let's say of something we're creating, but we don't really believe it because we don't see it yet, that can actually have the reverse effect on the programming of the mind.
Yeah.
Whereas if we declare something, then there's nothing for that part of the mind to argue with, and therefore it can bypass that critical factor of the mind much more easily. So just like we do that, we also do this writing process in a certain way at a certain time so that it's the easiest to get right directly into the subconscious so that we get overnight results with it.
Yeah.
Because we tend to look for evidence. And
yeah.
and with MindFlavors, you don't have the need to prove yourself. Like, where is the evidence? It's like, no, I feel great. Why you want to move it? It's like, I'm feeling great. So yes, I do agree with you guys. So in the description of this episode, they're gonna have their information, so like that you can contact them and you can book your appointment. And hey guys, don't miss this opportunity because it is really a game changer. It is, forget about doing the shadow work and things like that. That I do a lot of that, and that's what I teach. But we were always searching where it started the problem or the trauma or the pain or whatever it was. But with this technology, you don't have that need. And it goes way, way faster. Way, way faster. I'm fascinated by it. So I highly recommend it. I did it. Of course, I haven't had all the flavors. Hopefully one day I have all the flavors. But you guys need to try this one. It is gonna be wonderful. It's gonna be a game changer. And hopefully the world have this game changer for everybody. Have this experience. And thank you for creating it. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you for your service.
Oh, appreciate that.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes.
So it starts in June. Do you have a date approximately?
June 12th.
June 12th.
Yes.
Okay.
So make your meetings with us soon if you think you might like to join us.
Perfect. So do you guys have something else that you would like to add before we close down?
I would just like to express my gratitude to you for having us on your show. And it was a great pleasure to be there to witness your expansive awakening from the consciousness, with the consciousness when you watch the MindFlavors.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And thank you for all our listeners. Thank you for being here in this video or this episode, actually, because we have it also in Captivate. If you're listening to it and it helped you, hey, think in your neighbor, your friend, your family. It may help them too. So share it, share with them. It may help you and it might change their life too.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you so much, Monica. Our pleasure.
You, Monica.
And thank you for being in Soul Talk, everybody. This is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love.